Okay, so welcome back to Into the Infinityverse, where it's kind of like a behind the scenes of all things going on in the Infinityverse, which is the shared fanfiction universe I work on with my friend Jason Voorhees 2011. And essentially, I'm going to be talking about, this time around, I'm going to be talking about the stuff going on in Steven Universe. I feel like this is a big one that I kind of need to explain in a little detail. I kind of need to. This is one that kind of needs to be explained in some major detail. So, Steven Universe, first and foremost, this is where in the Infinityverse is Steven Universe? Well, we are post season 5 and in the before season 6. We're in a big time gap before that. Even a little before the movie. Spinel is still out in space, being left behind. Although we have kind of finagled with continuity before, just a little. We don't want to. Here's the thing about the Infinityverse is that while we do kind of finagle with canon, especially when it came to Yu-Gi-Oh, we usually stick to a lot of the show canon, or we really do stick to it for the most part. But there are other times where it's like we finagle with it because it's fan fiction, but we don't want to be constantly messing with it. That's the thing. So, we usually stick to continuity for the most part, but it is fanfiction at the end of the day, so we can kind of do what we want, but don't, there are rules we do follow. There are major rules Jason and I follow, and we don't usually bend them on occasion, but when it comes to canon, we sometimes muck around with it if only it works for the story. That's the thing. We only mess with canon if it's worthy to the story. If it's not, we're not going to fuck with the canon. So, anyway, what was Oh yes, Steven Universe. So yes, we are in that for Steven Universe. We are in that gap between the movie and season 5. So the diamonds are no longer a threat. The diamonds and the Gem Empire are no longer a threat, and it's kind of funny because everyone's still leery about it. All the other members of the Infinity League, the superheroes that kind of protect the universe, are they've waged war on us. They attacked Earth multiple times, and we're just suddenly cool. So a lot of the members of the League, and even Earth itself, are should we? Because here's the thing: in the Infinityverse, the gems aren't the only empire, let alone the only intergalactic empire that attacked Earth. The Triceratons, the Cluster, the Lewardians from Kim Possible. All of those invasions are canon, and alien invasions in the Infinityverse are kind of a constant thing that happens. So there were, the gems were kind of big because they were one of the first ones here on Earth, and their technology's kind of they've kind of scarred the planet, so there's a lot of people in the League and out in the world who are they tried to blow up the planet. We're cool with that now? So they're really the diamonds are oh, we're cool, it's all fine, but there are a lot of everyone who's trying to get used to it, and some people are not used to it. So there is that. Blue, yellow, and white also helped forge the United Galaxy Alliance. United Galaxy is basically all these different planets and empires and a few others who essentially came together and we're done fighting each other because there are other threats in the galaxy, and it's just a waste of resources. So, yellow and blue, the diamonds basically helped create a new united, that kind of like a federation, to help protect one another and help restructure the galaxy for more peaceful negotiations and relations themselves. So among them, they've worked with the Jorians, who are the real people behind this. You also had Cybertronians, which this was conducted in secret by Shockwave, because in Shockwave's opinion, it's Cybertron, and Megatron left Cybertron to me. So everything that is on Cybertron, logically, it falls to me. So I don't have to explain myself to Megatron if the jurisdiction is Cybertron, because he left me to control it. So logic dictates that I can do what I want. And you may be thinking, well, why did Shockwave go through with this? Because he's more concerned about fighting the Decepticon cause and fighting other Autobots that are left on Cybertron, and basically running Cybertron itself. He's like, it'd be a waste of what resources we have to continue to fight these other planets. And also, yes, the Diamonds and the Gems and the Cybertronians, like I talked about before, thousands of years ago, did have a war with Cybertron, and that was kind of like the Skrull War, the Skrull-Kree War. And Megatron, the war ended when Megatron beat Yellow Diamond and more or less demoralized the Gems into stop from fighting. So there's still some hurt feelings there between the Homeworld and Cybertron. Anyway, so there is that. You also have that there are some Gems out there who are like, they're kind of like demoralized that their empire, because at this point right now, we are going through a transitional period between the Diamonds slowly, because you can't just abdicate power just like that. I'd snap my fingers, but I can't snap my fingers. You get the point. Point being is that you can't just abdicate power and just leave nothing there. So the Diamonds are right now slowly starting to, like, lessen their power and lead the way to, like, elections with the Zircons and whatever. So they're kind of like, we'll give up power eventually. We just can't do it right now. We can't just be like, we're done, and leave our people governless, without a government to help, run everything. But because the Diamonds step down, the Diamonds pretty much, are stepping down, there are a lot of Gems out there who are kind of like, this is bullshit, and don't want to transition or have found somebody else. One of those Gems, you might might be thinking, her name rhymes with Paula Marie. Yeah, that bitch has found somebody else to help to serve, and she shows up in the Lord Dominator spotlight briefly with a new master, and that one's out if you want to go read that in Infinityverse Spotlights. So, there is that. So, what about the Crystal Gems themselves? Well, the Crystal Gems are all members of the Infinity League, and currently Steven is, or rather was, under the influence of the Phoenix Force, which is the big event going on right now of the Phoenix Force, of Dark Phoenix, which is it was trying to influence several heroes to choose one to bond with, and one of those was Steven. Steven was one of those who was going to be who was considered to be chosen by the Phoenix to bond with, and that influenced him, and it drove him insane. But recently, Sailor Moon used the Silver Millennium Crystal to wipe away or dispel the influence the Phoenix had on everybody, Steven included. So Steven is still, and you're probably wondering, are we going to address like some of the mental issues Steven had? We are, and this is going to add to it. This is going to add fuel to the fire for Steven, because he was under the influence of something really terrible that was going to make him do really terrible shit to people. So it would stand to reason that that's just going to add more fuel to the fire for Steven and his mental distress. But like I said, this time around, we're, unlike Steven Universe Future, we actually have, like, something that Steven needed from the fucking get-go. A therapist. We have a therapist. Jazz, Danny Phantom's sister, is the team's therapist. She's kind of like their Doc Samson, and she works in this section of Skyward Tower, the Infinity League's base, called Sanctuary. Yes, it is a direct reference to Sanctuary from Heroes in Crisis. So Sanctuary is where the other members of the League go to, talk about their problems. And Steven definitely has got enough problems to talk about. So Steven is definitely going to go there at some point to kind of talk about everything that happened. So yeah, that's one thing that always bothered me about, Jason also brought this up. I was like, you know what always bothered me? Was like, why didn't Steven go to a therapist from the get-go? Like, oh, this could have been solved a lot faster if Steven just went to a fucking therapist from the get-go. So, yeah. There's that little plot point. So, yeah. As for other characters, Connie is part of the Infinity League. Beach City is still, like, integrating with... At this point, now, since we're in that in-between time, Little Homeworld in Beach City is being built. And that's going to cause a problem later on. We're going to address that, these gem refugees living on Earth of a world invaded by multiple aliens. You think people aren't going to, outside of Beach City, are going to be okay with that? Yeah, we're going to address that. So we have that, we have Little Homeworld being constructed at this point. The Crystal Gems are members of the Infinity League. There is also, as for other characters, we've got some ideas for other characters, especially regarding Lars. You see, Lars is now, Lars is back, but there's a part of him who wants to go back out into space. But the problem is that his crew, the Off-Colors, they don't feel like they need to go back. They don't feel like they need to go back out in space. The job's done, but there's a part of Lars who wants to go back out there. He misses that adventure. And now that he's no longer with Sadie, it's kind of like, what's really tethering me to Earth, right? He can't be with Sadie. He's like, what's really tethering me to the Earth right now? So as you can imagine, Lars is going to be like our Star-Lord, and I think I've talked about this before, where Lars is going to be part of a new cosmic team, because there's some shit growing in the galaxy right now that's going to come up later on in the Infinityverse timeline, and Lars is going to be a part of it, along with his new team, which is going to be like our version of the Guardians of the Galaxy / the Starjammers. So stay tuned for that. I don't want to spoil who's on the team. I really don't. I'll just say that, yeah, Lars is leading that team. There's going to be some familiar faces, especially to him, on that group. So, yeah, this is a lot with Steven Universe. It was a lot easier to incorporate than we thought, actually. It's kind of funny. When we were, building the Infinityverse, there was a lot in Steven Universe that we were talking about doing and whatnot. And eventually, we were kind of like, this is a lot easier than we thought, because we looked at all the other stuff that we incorporated in the Infinityverse, and it was like, well, that, this kind of all works pretty well in putting in here. This really does work very well for putting all of this into the Infinityverse. So by the end of it, we were like, yeah, this was a lot easier than we thought, and we thought it'd be pretty tough to incorporate Steven Universe, but Steven Universe itself plays a lot of the elements play a big part in not just here on Earth, but also very much, even more so, in the cosmic side of of the Infinityverse. So it was, it was actually a lot easier and actually very integral to a lot of the stuff we were doing in the Infinityverse. So that was really cool. But anyway, so there you go, guys. That is pretty much all the stuff for this segment of Into the Infinityverse. You guys tell us in the comments below. What did you guys think of this? Just comment below, let me know. And once again, I am Mr. Multiverse, and I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.